Hi there, it's me, Teresa again. I made a video a month ago about my eye condition. Just as brief as I could, an explanation of how and why it is the way it is. I had someone comment underneath that video, Amanda. Nice to meet you, Amanda. Your question was, how do I feel about working with low vision, and how I feel about getting around, how well I can get around, and just my perspective on it. And so here's my answer. Multi-layered. It's based on the fact that as I got older, my vision got worse. When I was young, I was legally blind, but I was able to see pretty clearly, so I could ride a bike, not on a road, but a pretty secluded area, easily. And I could read and write fairly easy, and I didn't need glasses until late in life, about 10 years ago. And since then, my use of glasses has stopped because the deterioration of my cornea has gone to the point that they don't help me anymore. And I haven't worked outside of the home for 25 years, I want to say. It was 1992. And I really enjoyed my job. I was an account clerk, basically the next level down from an accountant. And that's what I went to school for. Long story, but we'll get into that another time. And I really did enjoy it, and at the time my vision wasn't so poor as it is now. So it was a lot easier. And that was around the time I started having to use a magnifying glass. Growing up as a child, I never had to really use magnifying glasses because they didn't really help me to much extent. And then I lost the use of my left eye in 89, 88, 89, I want to say. So I had to adjust to being able to see out of only one eye. And that went a little bumpy, but pretty well. At least I could still see, right? And working, I did work with it that way. I was able to use a magnifying glass and different things that help low vision, like a CCTV, a large calculator, just different things. This was quite a while ago. And then I started having children after moving to upstate New York, and to me that was my job, is raising my children. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, there's difficult times, but I love having kids. I have 3 boys I'm very proud of, and of course, no one's perfect, right? So, we get our faults, and we rub like sandpaper sometimes, but, hey, we're all human, and we learn from our mistakes. At least, hopefully, we try to. As far as later on, about 10 years ago, I started having deteriorated vision in my one remaining eye, and I was still able to get around. I only started using a cane for depth perception about a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was really hard to get used to, but once I realized I didn't have to be as afraid of where I was walking because I couldn't make out depth perception, I was like, yeah, I wish I had used this before. And all adjusting. You gotta adjust to things, and it is pretty scary thinking about what's going to be in the future. I mean, if I go totally blind, then yes, I know I'll keep going on. I know I've found that I have ways of still doing things even if I'm not necessarily looking, like crocheting and knitting and making jewelry. And I don't know, I just do a lot of things without even realizing that I'm not even looking. But that's a good thing in a way, because then I realize I don't have to be as afraid of not being able to see. It is going to be absolutely frustrating because I'm so used to being able to see to some degree. But I know my Lord will bring me through it. He will help me adjust and do what I need to do. You can't be afraid to go out into the world and do things. I mean, yes, be careful, cautious. Use all your senses, not just your eyesight, ears, your nose, just the sense of things around you give you so much more information than people realize. I ride Greyhound buses to go to another state to visit family. I've ridden across the country to California with a friend and camped out in several places, like in Colorado, in a teepee. That was really cool. And seeing California was really nice. I never even imagined that would have happened, but the Lord provided this without my even realizing that I wanted it. I mean, I didn't even realize I wanted it. I didn't have any notion of actually going out to California or anywhere like that, let alone ride across the country and experience all the different places. It is nice to have somebody with you that you know and that you can trust. So, yeah, I try not to let it stop me from doing things. Yeah, okay, there is one part that I do have a little difficulty with not being able to see, is I kind of have this fear when it comes to trying to clean up disastrous messes. Like yesterday, my son, Josh, he's 20, but out of nowhere, he just got sick really badly. He projectile vomited across his room, and it went on the wall, it went on the door, went on the floor, went on the computer desk, the computer, and I have to admit, I was not up to conquering that. There may be a day where I can, but I really wasn't up to it. So I had somebody here with me, and she helps me a lot with my housework that requires a lot of vision, and she did most. Well, I'll just put 99% of it. We tried to get Josh to do some of it too, but he can't see that very good either. And so yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking. I don't know. It's like when I think of that situation, it's like that kind of thing scares me more than going out and walking on the sidewalk. I mean, it's really strange. But if you have any ideas or comments, let me know, or any more questions. When I was younger, when I was still working, or when my kids were little, I could see pretty good, so something like that didn't bother me so much. Another example is another one of my sons, when he was a baby, had woken up from a nap early and managed to get his diaper off. And he had pooed in his diaper, and he rubbed the poop all over the wall, all over the crib, and the bed, and his hair. I'm like, oh no, this is not good. But I I did manage to clean that, so I know it is possible. I don't know. I have a determination too sometimes. I mean, yeah, I admit fear sometimes can hold me back from something like puke, but um, yeah, the when I was younger, the vision was a little better, so it didn't bother me as much. But not knowing, when you're used to being able to see something enough to determine how to do what you got to do, um, compared to not being able to, that seems to be one of the most difficult things for me so far, because I'm just so still used to being able to just turn my head and look for something and find it pretty quickly. And for months, a year now, I've been unable to do that, and it is very disconcerting, very disconcerting. So I find myself feeling around things a lot and running into the side of the refrigerator or a door frame. Or I really don't bother using my cane in the house because I know my house. I just have to be careful when I take corners too quickly. Yeah, I know it was kind of a runoff answer, but I hope it answered your questions. But no, I don't really have a lot of fears about getting out and going places and doing things, because either I'm with somebody or I know where around the town I live and stuff like that. And I know the public transportation routes, and it can be frustrating because sometimes they come early, sometimes they come late, blah, 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 blah. But that's probably like that everywhere. But you just sort of get used to it. Harp about it sometimes too, but that's life, right? Yeah, I'd like to know how you feel about getting around and working and stuff like that. What kind of work were you interested in getting into? Accounting is not in my accessible wheelhouse right now because of my vision, but I know if I were to learn Braille and the different aspects of mobility, that I'm still not real proficient at using my cane yet, but I have been using it consistently when I go outside the house. Sometimes it can be a pain because you're trying to hold on to something and read it. You need a third hand maybe to hold that cane. Yeah, I've even played with the idea recently of getting a guide dog, a seeing-eyed dog. But there's still concerns with how do you take care of them? They're a lot of work. I never had a dog for myself since I was young because I just didn't want to have to, give it all the care that it needs because I didn't feel comfortable with, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, I love dogs, I do. Cats are my preference, but I think dogs are wonderful, but they require a lot of attention and a lot of maintenance. Walking them and being able to know where to pick up after them, and just all that. And where I live, it snows in the winter. And that is not easy, especially when there's ice and people don't shovel their walkways and stuff like that. I made one video like a couple of years ago or so about how a lot of people don't shovel their sidewalks. And I was very frustrated at the time. And now that I live in a house, a one family house, I can understand why people, they got busy lives, they gotta go to work, this and that, but it is so true what I said about kids having to walk to school, and it's up to a mile or a mile and a quarter that they have to walk. Even little kids, so if they don't have a special education program or something like that, they're doomed to have to walk or have their parents drive them. And as we know, not everybody drives. And if you have multiple children, as I did when they're young, you can't leave the other two to take one and walk them to school. And so, yeah, it just don't work out so easily. But you managed to get to it, and I can't wait to hear your perspective on what kind of things you're going to do with your life.